Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. Super excited. I really think you're going to love my conversation today with Flipped Lifestyle community member Patty Jackson. You know, we always say in our business that we help people use their God-given experiences to go out and build a business and change other people's lives, to have an impact on the world. That's really what you can do with online business and membership sites. And Patty is using one of the worst situations that could happen to anybody in life to go out and serve other people through an online business. A few years ago, Patty's husband passed away unexpectedly. And like that would do to me or you or anybody who loses their spouse, it overwhelmed her with grief. And it took her a few years and a lot of counseling to be able to get past that and to get through, not get over, but to move beyond the grief and start living life again. And through that process, Patty interacted with a lot of other people who had experienced that grief that can only come through the death of a loved one. So now Patty is starting to build a blog and a community and an online presence at mygriefrelief.com, where she is going to help other people get through that grief of losing a loved one. What an amazing mission, and what an awesome opportunity for her to go out and tell her story and help people from all over the world deal with grief in a positive way. We're going to touch on some really hardcore issues today. This was an intense podcast, guys, and it is not for the faint of heart, but that's what we do inside the Flipped Lifestyle community. We're real people with real missions, and we're out there trying to change a real world. And sometimes we have to have tough conversations, especially when business and something as serious and as sensitive as grief are intersecting into a business. We're going to talk a lot today about how to create an amazing product inside of your community. We're going to talk about how to set the tone for what you want your business to be. Patty is adamant she wants this to be a place of joy and inspiration and hope. She does not want her membership to be all despair and all gloom and doom, which can happen when you're dealing with something as deep as grief. So we're going to come up with some strategies to really set the tone of the brand. And also we're going to talk about how to charge for sensitive subjects. A lot of us kind of feel bad sometimes when we're charging for our time or charging for our resources, especially when it's something serious like grief. We're going to tackle that issue head on, and we're going to see why charging people for solutions is actually the best thing that you can do for them. It's going to help you power the mission so that you can help more people. Now, Patty was a little bit nervous at the beginning of the podcast, guys, so she's going to be a little jittery up. But I finally got her to loosen up. I finally got her to have some fun. And I finally got her having a deep discussion about her membership website. So hang on with Patty through the first few minutes, and I know you're going to get a lot of benefit from this podcast. So wherever you're listening, however you're feeling today, thank you so much for tuning in. Sit back, relax. I hope you learn a lot. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again today. Super excited to talk to another member of the Flip Lifestyle community so that I can help them take their online dream to the next level. And I am pumped to welcome to the program today, Patty Jackson. How you doing, Patty?
Great. Thank you.
I am excited to talk to you today. Tell everybody a little bit about you, where you're from, and what it is, what you do in your life and what you're doing online.
Okay. I'm Patty Jackson. I work full time right now, trying to, ease into retirement with an online business. I live in Texas, Austin, Texas. I'm Southerner. I was born in South Carolina, call home Louisiana, and my blood runs through Texas. So
so you started working down to I-10 and just went left.
Army brat. Basically. We ended up
right.
We ended up here. So my husband died just over 3 years ago, and I had been listening to you and Jocelyn for several years at that point. Then after my husband died, I was like, I got to do something with this grief. So we kind of took it this direction. I had a grief coach, and she suggested writing love letters, and that really helped me. And then that started the website. So it helps me. I just need to get out there, and I know how many people we can reach this way.
Sure.
So that's the whole plan.
So when your husband passed away, what I understand is you decided to, the grief was so overwhelming, you had to find a solution to this.
Correct.
You went through a process of it, and now you started a website that's going to help other people who were in your situation kind of overcome the grief with all of the tools and things like that you kind of went through, correct?
Correct. Exactly.
Awesome. And what is your domain name, Patty?
It is mygriefrelief.com.
That's a great domain name. I just wanted you to say it out loud because when I read it in your phone, I was like, that's like a rhyming My Grief Relief.
It is catchy, but branding wise, like down the road, is that going to fly?
I love it. I think it's great. Anytime you can have like simple words that like kind of have some kind of flow to them. Like our domain name is actually terrible. Like I tell people this all the time. Like the Flipped Lifestyle we had a great plan, a great idea, but whenever I say it, nobody realizes it's like past tense and like it doesn't sound right. And so no,
I love it.
People spell
I'm glad
it wrong.
You like mine, and
I love yours.
That's what I decided was. If nothing else works, this is my grief relief. So
that's great. So it's got a double meaning for you, basically.
Yeah, this is for me, but hopefully what I've learned will reach others too. So.
Oh yeah, that's what Jocelyn did with Elementary Librarian. She built it for her, and she said if anybody else buys in, that'll be cool too. But if not, at least I've got my stuff. What job are you trying to work toward retirement for right now? What are you doing right now?
I'm in IT. And I work for a company, Texas Municipal League. It's a private nonprofit. I do the websites now. I do email blasts. I do anything with the database, pulling reports, all kind of the background of IT. We used to do software upgrades and updates and set up everybody's computers and make all the changes. And hardware was, time consuming. Well, as life has progressed, we just go buy a new computer and set it up. And we don't have any employees. So it's basically gone to online stuff, which is, I thought I had an unfair advantage. I manage 21 websites. I am always updating them, and there are 3 or 4 different platforms. But then I got to my own. I'm like, we don't do Kajabi at work. So when I got Kajabi, I was like out of my league.
Right, exactly. Like it's funny how even in our core competencies, when we start doing something else, we all these weird things start like swirling through our head. I remember me and Jocelyn, we knew how to like do some HTML. Both of us did when we first started out. And I remember like, I can do this, I can build a website, I can do whatever. But when you sit down and you got to think about, well, what colors am I going to use? And what am I going to say? And what am I going to do? And people are going to see this one. It's not just for fun. It starts kind of getting a little overwhelming, right? Yeah.
And I also thought my unfair advantage at my job was we started back in 2005 with HTML websites and everything was coded. So then when everything started going to what we used to call WYSIWYG, but drag and drop and all of those things.
What you see is what you get.
It just got to me because I couldn't see the code behind there. And I knew what I needed to do, but I couldn't get to the code. So I've had to adjust with the new times, but I know it helps everybody else that's never done HTML. But for us who know HTML, we want to get behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, you want to actually make the thing actually happen like you want.
I knew I could design this. I knew I could make it look like I wanted. So every time I would go to work on my website, like wake up in the morning and go, oh yeah, I want to put that on there. And I'd get stuck and I'd end up researching and talking, on the chat thing and trying to figure it all out. And it just was choppy looking. After listening to you and just so many people I'd talked to on doing the business, don't do stuff you're not good at. Well, I didn't want to admit I wasn't good at it because it's my full-time job. So one day I just went on Upworks, put a ad up there and got someone, I'm not sure what state she lives in, but in the United States.
Yeah.
And she contacted me that day and I said, I don't want a black and white, a gloom and doom website, but what I've got isn't working. I need something soft and cozy and, warm and fuzzy and bright. And she's like, okay, I think I can do it for maybe a couple of hours. I'm not sure. Well, within an hour, she texted me, see what you think. And it was a whole new, it was a whole new website. I'm like, oh my God, I just spent the last 6 months stressing out every day. And she did it in less than an hour. So
that's amazing. Was this built with Kajabi? Was this built in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to learn, Kajabi, and redo what I'd already done in WordPress. And then she encouraged me, like, you're farther along than you think you are.
That's exactly right. You are.
It doesn't look good. And so she reformatted it with what I had in there. And
some people, it's also too, like, a lot of times we'll know what to do, but people just have different eyes for different things. And that's why it's really good not to be afraid to hire people to do stuff for you, because you may have an idea, but sometimes you can't even make that idea real. Like, I do this all the time in our business. Like, I call myself the CVO. I'm the Chief Vision Officer. Like, I'm the one who's coming up with all the crazy ideas, right? Mm-hmm. But most of the time, I cannot make those things happen in real life. Like, I try, like I'll just roar ahead and do things, but until Jocelyn or somebody else on our team actually comes in and looks at it from a different angle, that's how things like get produced. It's why we love the community model, because like when you have something going on in your business, most entrepreneurs are out there all alone. But if you have a community and you got hundreds of people and you can go drop something in a forum or ask something in a Facebook group, you get all these responses back of people that can see it from different angles.
Right.
And there's no reason to try to do any of this.
It was a hard lesson, because that's exactly what I told her. Oh my God, I just needed another set of eyes.
That's it.
To get past what I was trying to do. It was the realization, and I've hired people since. I don't even try to go figure it out. I just hire somebody.
That's amazing.
Now I want to do these things later, maybe, but maybe I won't, because it's just so easy now to hire somebody.
And I would say that it was the same thing with the grief. Like, you needed to go out and get some help and learn some things. And these are moments in life that we're not really prepared for. But the cool thing is, when you get these experiences, when you have that wisdom, you get to go pass that on to other people who you can help. So tell me more about the avatar, like My Grief Relief. Are you looking for other like women whose husbands have passed away? Are you trying to just go grief in general? Like, tell me more about the mission and the avatar, just so I can understand it before we start building this thing.
From experience purposes, I mean, I have lost, grandparents and things like that someone's going to experience their whole life. So, and I have never dealt with death very well from the first person I knew that died, which was my best friend when I was 18. Didn't handle it well, didn't realize that I wasn't handling it well. Then grandparents died, blah, blah, blah. So when my husband died, that's when it hit me. This is like pain you've never had before. So yes, I had to go out and get the help to figure out how not to shut down, just completely die along with that. So I went to GriefShare, and the coach there, she is now on my team on my website. That all worked out beautifully. And
oh, wow, cool.
But she was just, we just met once a week, but I could call her. I knew I had her on my phone. I could call her if I was breaking down in the middle of the night. She just helped me a lot. So I realized that GriefShare, I only found that because of the church. I mean, I looked online, and then my church didn't have anything. So then I looked online, and the church across the street had GriefShare. And so I realized that. And
what is GriefShare? Is that just a program?
It's another grief. It's a Christian-based grief group, and it's huge. It's worldwide. But what caught my attention was when I called my church, they said, no, we don't have anything. And they directed me. I lived in a little town outside Boston. They directed me into Austin, which is where I worked. So I looked, went to several, hated them, went to GriefShare, and realized that there were people that had lost parents, people that had lost children, all of that. And I felt a part of that whole group, even though I lost my husband. And there were some people in there that also lost their spouses. But it was kind of a mixture. But it never felt like spouse loss was dominating or child loss was dominating.
Yeah,
it was all kind of the same. So when I started this, I didn't really know who my avatar was, because I personally can say it is hell with losing your husband. And I know I got through that. But it didn't feel like I could really speak on someone who'd lost their child, because thank God I haven't. But I've learned since then that even somebody that's lost their spouse next to you, their grief is completely different than yours. Everybody's is different. And so I don't really know who to reach. No, it's not just women, but that seems to be all women.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have lost children, and I really don't want to say, oh, well, that's the worst thing to say anyway to somebody that's lost anybody is, I know how you feel. But in that case, I really don't know how they feel. If it's the same pain I felt with losing my husband, you need to get that out. You need grief support because everybody in this world is going to go through grief.
I think that what I'm hearing is, and I'm looking at, is Aura, is this the person,
Yes.
the coach? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I'm reading her bio here on your website right now, and everybody should go check out mygriefrelief.com. But what I'm hearing is the problem that you saw, and I want to, this is sometimes we talk about a lot of heavy stuff on the podcast sometimes. And I mean, this is a situation, gosh almighty. I mean, what a horrible thing to have to go through. So I want to stress to everybody that all of our motivations to create this amazing business that's going to have a powerful mission, and our motivations are completely pure, while at the same time, we're going to talk about strategy and tactics that may sound like, oh, well, you're doing this, but we're just trying to make sure that we can get the mission out there and that the business can have enough money to support its mission and that it can go out there and impact people's lives. So there's going to be, because I know I already can see the emails that I'm going to get from this. You're just cold and calculating and strategic and tactical. And I'm like, well, you know what? You got to plan a trip. So that we're about to plan a trip here, people. Right. But our motivations are pure. I love the mission here. And I think that we can condense this down into what we need to do it with. Okay. So the problem that you solve is grief. And,
exactly.
and I think the avatar, what I'm hearing is, I do think that it would probably be a good thing to go ahead and say females here, but leave it open for other people to come in. It's not like you're saying females, but when you think of an avatar, you're going to think of yourself. Everybody is. You're going to think about what you've went through. You're going to think, when you think of this and how you're going to coach and how you guys are going to guide and what kind of content you're creating. I mean, Aura is going to influence this a lot. The other people that you're friends with who have went through grief, like I'm sure you've connected with other wives who have lost husbands and things like that. And you, even though you don't understand exactly what each other goes through, that is a deeper part of the relationship, right? You get it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So I think that female, I hear a lot of Christian faith. Don't be afraid to niche down to the Christian community, because I'm sure that some of this is going to be faith-based, and you're going to need to target those people coming in that have at least a similar value and belief system, or your program's not going to work for them, right? Because you're going to be too busy selling them the faith instead of showing them the process to help get the grief out of the way so that they can go forward in their life. So I hear female, I hear Christian. I think grief is narrow enough because we all have these different emotions that we have to deal with in life in different situations. Like it would be different to deal with anger. It would be different to deal with loneliness, even though those may be a part of the grief process. Grief is its own thing. Okay. But I don't think that you have to go down the rabbit hole of we only deal with wives who have lost their husbands. Like you're going to draw in people that are experiencing loss. Now, I think death is definitely a part of it. Like there's different kinds of grief that can lead to depression. Divorce causes grief. Jocelyn actually experienced almost a year and a half of deep depression after selling her business because she mourned it like a child, because the people who bought it and just a lot of other situations, like she actually experienced grief, and we were like, it was shocking. But it was a loss because so much of her life had been poured into that. So I think that death is definitely a part of your message, not in a gloomy, dreary way, just a statement of fact and truth way. Like, hey, we are helping Christian women who are experiencing grief from a death in their life. And that could be grandparent, mother, father, spouse, sister, brother, kid, whatever. But we're going to go through that, and we're going to give you a place to come out of this together. That's the avatar. Is female Christian, grief from death. And now that's going to shape anything else you do going forward, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know avatar, is this, when we use these words, is that we're like zeroing in on SEO?
These words are going to shape content first and foremost, because everything in your business flows from content through marketing into your membership. So the language that you speak has to kind of be relevant for all those levels. And people are going to search for things like, like my husband. I'm going to type in husband died, a husband death, and I'm going to see what the search results come up with. 5,057 times a month in YouTube. I'm looking at a special search engine just for YouTube. My husband died is searched for 5,000 times a month. Right. So that could be a good name for a blog post. Like you could write called My Husband Died.
Yeah.
And then in parentheses, it could say, here's what I did next. Or you could do a YouTube video and you could call it My Husband Died. Like, here's how I overcame this tragedy. Right. These are the seeds of how our avatar is speaking. What are they searching for? You know what I'm saying? And we have to find those words tactically and strategically so that we can put our solution in front of people. Like I know what people want out of an online business. Like they want time freedom. They want more income. Like they want those things. I have to look and see what people are searching for. Then I have to title my stuff that was those languages in that language so that I can reach them. Like when we have this podcast, me and you, like we're recording this. We're going to talk for 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to cover a lot of stuff. I'm taking notes the whole time. What I do after I get off air is I go back and think about what we talked about, but then I check it with what people are searching before I create a title so that I can use that language, not the language we may have talked about.
Well, okay. So speaking back to what you said, grief is so many different forms.
Yep.
So just a little quickie. I actually joined Flip Lifestyle as one of the first members. I don't even know what year that y'all started the membership, 2015 maybe?
Yeah, 2014, I think, actually, maybe. Well, the membership came out after the beta groups, but yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, I think it was $39.99, and my website then was based on helping people go through the trauma of rape because I had been raped in 2010, and that is kind of how I was getting that out of my system also. Well, have a husband die on you and the trauma of rape goes right out the door.
Right.
Grief overtook me. But now I can look at the two, and the anger, the sadness, the loneliness, it's all the same grief. That was trauma. This was death, but it was all the same. So I actually started back then I didn't do anything with it. I don't even know.
I remember this. Now that you say this, I totally remember it.
So what was the buzzkill on that was, again, I thought, when you're doing SEO, you want the word, hopefully. And like you just said, Flip Lifestyle doesn't have any of the words in there about working from home and living your life, independently, working for yourself. But I thought it's got to have the word rape in there. So I came up with Rapevine, which sounded like heard it through the grapevine, had this brilliant idea. As soon as I said that in the community, they were like, no, I don't think so.
Right, yeah. That's when you need your friends to talk you off a little bit.
Like, okay, I'm done. I mean, literally, first knock in the head, I was out. So that's good. That was a lesson learned. And then I don't know what happened. Work got involved, or life.
Well, you know what? And what it was, though, I always tell people this: your first idea is never the one that works. It's never, it isn't. And like the goal is to learn processes as you move along so that each time you get better and faster. Like you got better at naming your website. You got better at building your website. You got better at asking for help. You got better at those negative feedbacks that you get from people that are actually good for you and help you. So you're just getting better at it as you go. And now you've got this amazing, beautiful website and like where you're helping people. Hey, tell me about what's going on with this community. It sounds like you're getting traction and people are reading and showing up, and you've even got a free group right now. Is that correct?
Okay. So that's one of my main questions. I just kind of wanted people to come and talk. I mentioned Grief Share a lot. They're a free Christian grief group, but it has to be in a church. Like they only sell to churches, and then people go to that class. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And I knew I could reach all the Christians and all the ones that didn't own a church, so to speak, didn't go to a specific church, maybe.
Or a church doesn't have Grief Share, because not all churches have
a lot of them. Mine Mine didn't, but the one across the street did. So I wanted just to get people in there. So I created this free community, and then
and this is in Kajabi.
In Kajabi, still getting no traction. But then I hired somebody to do Facebook ads, and that started January 29th. And I think I have 924 likes, and I'm not sure how many followers, but that's really what we're doing, is targeting likes, just trying to build that up. And now I point them over to my community, and I only have 24 when I counted yesterday, but that's more than I had January 1st when I had this idea of a community. So now I've kind of got the free ones. I need to start covering my expenses. I need to start a membership that's paid. And I am trying to figure out how to keep those that have joined, because I promised them it was free, even though they've not given me any input, which was the purpose of them coming in for free.
What you'll find, and this is one of the big things, but all right, so we got to close the door at the church. We're not in the church anymore. We're out in the real world. Okay. And like the church is there for service and helping each other. And that's great. But in the real world, people who pay attention, and free people don't pay attention. And so the one thing I would say right now is it's time to start charging for this. Now I just logged in. I'm in to the free community. So I'm looking at it right now. So there's two things I don't see that you're going to have to do right now. Number one is you guys are I don't see a process. I don't see a blueprint. Like I don't see the My Grief Relief blueprint or whatever you call it, to where it's like, here's I would almost call it like the roadmap to get beyond the grief. Right. Or the grief relief roadmap or something like that. That could be how you package it.
Like a step-by-step process of
like you're
a PowerPoint that says tips how to get through grief.
I would break it up. I would break it up really in detail. You're gonna have to check with a couple things first. Like one, I think you and Aura, is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
Aura. You and Aura need to get over to the side, and you need to say, look, I've been through grief. I know the steps in the process. You've been through grief. You're a counselor. Like, we need to create our own plan. What does that look like? And forget the grief other company stuff. That's fine that you can piggyback off of things that they've taught you, but you guys have to come up with your process. So that's the first thing I'm going to tell you, because right now it's just a community. There's nothing to engage with coming in. And as soon as when people get in to a thing, they go immediately to content, and they want to engage with content. Now that only lasts for about 2 to 3 months. And then they want to engage with each other and you. Okay. So you guys got to stop everything right now, and you got to build out this product. Now, that doesn't have to be complicated, but it does need to be strategic. So like go through the phases of grief relief for me. Like if I lost my spouse, like what are the stages I'm going to go through? What am I going to experience? What do I need to do? And think of it from a very buckets list, like a categorical level, and a real quick overview of tell me, like when you were suffering and you found this process, what was the general flow of the process? Like if I'm going to get over grief in the next 6 months, what would I need to go through? Just tell me real quick.
Okay. The tagline on my website, if it shows I don't know if it's prominent, it's grief is not something you get over.
Okay.
It's something you get through.
Okay. How do I get through it?
So, and about a month after my husband died, Willie Nelson put this song out, and that's the name of it. And I would love to have him in my background music. But the first step is like numb. I call it the experts call it brain fog, the foggy stage. It's just pure numbness. I called it the bobblehead stage. Just people would say, you need to get a death certificate. You need to do this. And I just bobble my head. Okay, let's do it.
Perfect.
The first thing is numbness and foggy. Second is sad. The next is anger. I think the next stage, everybody's different. Some people are angry. I know people that have lost people from suicide, and they're angry long before they get to anything else.
That's cool. That's fine.
So then you come out of your numbness, and then your pain really sets in. So it's painful. Loneliness is from stage 1 all the way through. And then it's just accepting your new life. Like I moved 4 times, and since he died, I've had to help my parents. I mean, it's just some days I wasn't even thinking about death because I was just moving through normal life. But then all of a sudden, you think you're fine, and the sad comes back, and you kind of start over again.
So here's what needs to happen. Okay. And this is an analogy I use on the podcast all the time, but it's going to play perfect for this exact product. Is, the like the grief process, when we shop, we go to a supermarket. Mm-hmm. And on some days we're going to need milk, and on other days we're going to need soup, and on other days we're going to need toilet paper, and other days we're going to need eggs. And I have to have a supermarket where all that's available so that I can go get what I need when I need it. Okay. So you're going to have a path. You're going to say, hey, look, a lot of people do go in this order, but it's going to be accessible where it's like, you're just going to call it this. And I want to take the joy back into it. I think your general message is like, hope in spite of sadness, overcoming anger, right? Like working through pain. Like you're going to call your trainings that, but you're just going to have basically a video that's called Numb. But it might be something like working through numbness, or that numb, or or overcoming the numb feeling. We can come up with better words.
Brain fog.
Overcoming brain fog, right? That's going to be a module, and the module is going to be you telling your story in a really deep way and acknowledging the numbness, right? You don't even have to solve it. You just have to basically show your members, hey, look, this is what happened. I went numb. Getting the death certificate, planning the funeral, doing all these things. You're going to tell that story of that part of your life. And then you're going to probably have exercises to help through that, right? Like to get through that. And then you're going to say, then you're going to invite them to talk in the community about their numbness. You're going to have a module on sadness, right? It's like, like some joy after the sadness, or getting back to joy, but overcoming the sadness, like something about sadness. You're going to talk about stories from your journey when you were the saddest, right? And the same thing at the end of each module. You're not really giving people a solution. You're just saying, hey, you're not alone. I went through this. Here's my story. It's not your story. Let me hear your story. Come and talk to the community when you're sad. Come and let's talk about it on a live call each, like where Aura leads people through, talking through their problems and sadnesses. Right. Then you're going to have one for anger, one for pain, one for loneliness, one for acceptance. You're going to have one called relapse. And you're going to tell them, hey, I was helping my mom and dad move and the sadness came back. These things are going to come back, right? Because getting through it, it's never going to go away. These things are going to always come back, right? So what people really need is guidance from you, acceptance from you, acknowledgement that what they're feeling is normal. They're not the only one. And then an invitation to come back to the community. Right now, it's just a community. I'm scared. I don't know how to process that. I'm really sad today. Oh, man, I need the sadness video. And I watch the sadness video, and then I go into the community, right?
I think where this came from is I went backwards. I always hear on the community, they come for the content. On your podcast, they come for the content. They stay for the community. So I was like, well, I'll just get the community.
No, you got to have the content. It's a process. That's how it works. Like they come for the content. You forgot.
I wanted them to come to the community and tell me what they wanted to be in the training, but that's not happening. So.
That's right. Exactly. And all you got to do, and this will help you guys too, because you can avoid, I would actually have 2 modules per section. Like I would have the numb, right?
Uh-huh.
And I would have like you really deeply 30 minutes sharing your story. Now this is easy to do too, because you can get Aura to interview you.
Okay. Yeah.
That way you're not trying to like hold the camera. It's just you two. She's asking you questions and she'll pull it out of you and then edit it and clean. Now, Then I would have Aura by herself because she is a grief counselor. And I would have her then having hey, look, here's a process that we do to get through the sadness. And maybe she's got a worksheet or a workflow or something like that. Or maybe it's just the same questions she asked you to let people process it. People could share their videos in the community, and they could record the answers to Aura's questions and share them. And then everybody could talk to them and, and you've got all that pulled together. I'd have 2 videos per module, 7 modules: numb, sadness, anger, pain, loneliness, acceptance, relapse. And then I would just have, so you need 14 30-minute videos, basically talking head. No PowerPoints, none of that. You don't need any of that. All you need is.
I think video is the best way
in the community. Yes, you have to have modules. You got to have something. Okay. Yeah, most people aren't going to watch the video. That's why I don't do PowerPoints really anymore. They're just going to listen anyway. So you might as well just teach it that way. Okay. But like, I think this one's like an interview of you and her in the community, organized in these stages where I always have a place to go to when I'm experiencing these things. Now, when I log in, there's a place to go. I have a reason to engage. I can go to the forums. I can show up on the monthly call. Okay.
But anybody that comes in, so mine was from the first part. I started early. So from the numb stage, but somebody might have already gone a year and done all
exactly. That's why it's always open.
Okay.
Everything's there. Like if I come in and I need email marketing and I'm forcing you to come up with your idea, but you've already got your idea, you're out. Right. But the community is always open every video, every day. So if I come in and I'm feeling anger and I've already experienced the other ones, I can just start there.
Okay.
And I can just walk through the process and everybody. And then if I'm experiencing the sadness stage, if I come into your community, I'm going to start preparing for anger. Man, that person sounded really mad. Is that what I'm going to feel? I need to be ready for that. I need to start dealing with that. I need to start looking at that. And then they've got you and Aura there to help them through that with the other community. That's going to be a lot easier. But right now there's no path. There's no guidance. There's no map.
Okay,
and you gotta
so you just make sure 2 modules per section. So the section would be pain and that module would be the brain fog and the numbness.
I would say the sections are numb. And then you're going to tell a story about when you went numb. And that's probably like the first 2 weeks after the death when you're planning funerals and figuring out everything. And then the second module would be Aura looking straight into the camera as the grief counselor and saying, look, you're going to feel this numbness. Here are 5 steps to dealing with numbness only. And then a whole other module is sadness.
Okay.
And it's the same thing. It's your story is the compelling driver of the vision. Aura is there to help you with the expertise of the grief counseling.
Okay.
1-2 punch, right? It's like me and Jocelyn. I'm the strategy and she's the tactic.
Okay.
So that's what you're doing here. Just 7 different modules.
Because I don't know what I have a thing about it all being about me, even though I just said it's my grief relief, not somebody else's. But eventually maybe Aura interview a person in the community.
You can that you can add those later.
Because that's what I've learned too. People that have lost someone, they just want to talk about them. So that's what I thought. Oh, everybody's going to want to tell their story. They just want everybody to hear about how wonderful their husband was.
You can add those in later. Now so I think your next step is definitely make this product. That's like the next 2 weeks of your life is to get this done. But then let's see watch how this influences the branding and outside of the product. Okay. So your mission is not to make this a gloomy, doomy place. It's to inspire hope and be happy and try to get people back to where they can feel the opposite of all of these steps, like anger and peace, sadness and happiness, pain and comfort, loneliness and togetherness, acceptance, all these things, right?
Yep.
I would only do you blog or do you do a podcast? What do you do here? You want to do a podcast, right?
I don't do a podcast, but and my blogging has lacked severely. My blogging was love letters to my husband. So basically what I did for the day, I would write a love letter. And I have about 360 of them on a notebook that I need to transfer, but there's only about 25 on the website. But they're love letters. That's my blog.
I think that's a great part of the blog. I think you're going to have to do something else to be able to draw in people.
Okay.
Because that's going to be entertaining for people who have it. And and I say entertaining, I don't mean entertaining like watching Netflix. I mean, people have to be consumed with content. They don't just read it. But if they read this and you were like, hey, this one helped me get over or get through sadness, you're going to have to identify that. But you're going to need content where you focus totally on the hopeful success stories. Like your entire public presence should be the hope of, like, it shouldn't be like talking to someone through their numbness. That happens in the community. You need to find somebody who's looking back and is like, man, that bobblehead stage, I remember the day my head stopped bobbling. I remember the day that I got all my bills paid and I got up and went to work and it was the first day where my head stopped bobbling. These are the stories that you're going to have to find and reveal and share with people through a podcast, through a YouTube video, through a blog. Like, find me someone who's like so full of happiness, but then they look back and say, man, I was so sad. I mean, I remember I cried for 30 straight days. And then, I remember this happened and that happened. You need to tell these stories of hope and redemption and people who have gotten through it. That's what's going to draw people to you. Because if I'm sad and I'm looking for grief relief, but I see these stories of people who have made it, I want what helped them.
Yeah,
right.
They don't want to just hear about how sad they are. They want to see how
they want to. Yeah, people don't want to hear about their symptoms. They want to hear about the cure, right? What can I get through this? Well, if someone else did it, then I can. That's the common thread in all these businesses. So that's what you're going to start showing people publicly is here's the other side, right? And your stories, like for example, when you're in your course, you need to talk about all the things you felt and solutions to get over it. But on your podcast or on your YouTube channel or in your blog, you need to tell about the day your head stopped bobbling, the day the pain went away, the day after 2 months of anger, you saw clearly. Like you're going to hope and inspiration outside the community, tactical steps, people that you wish you had done inside the community. And that's how you're going to keep your brand is going to stay positive. But I can tell you this, just like inside the Flip Lifestyle community, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of people in there struggling with big mindset issues. People's websites are crashing. There's all kinds of things being talked about in there, right?
Right.
That's where that lives. That inside there is going to be the workplace. Outside here is going to be the hope and inspiration.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah, I got to build that part.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I guess I was thinking that they would help me build it. I don't know what I was thinking, but
I tell you what, you were taking action, and you were like, and you were thinking something, and you wanted to go see if it worked, and you did a great job. I mean, you got people following you on social media. That's awesome. Got to turn them into an email list, not members, right?
Right.
Then we got to turn our email list into members, and we got to stop giving it away for free. It's time to charge for this. Okay. Don't struggle on the price. Just for right now, charge $49 a month and forget about it. Okay.
So I was going to ask you about that. I heard the podcast about the $5 dinners and low cost membership. And right now I'm spending approximately $250 a month in ads and Kajabi. And I know I need to cover those costs, like start doing that.
You need 5 members paying $50 a month.
Well, I was thinking 25 members for $10 a month. I don't really.
I think what I'm hearing is like, there's a feeling here like, I'm charging people who are engaged. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I get that. I totally do. But I'm telling you right now, the most important thing you can do as a business owner with a solution to someone's problem is make them invest in the solution. And people who pay attention. I have given away the Flip Lifestyle community for free to dozens of people over the years. Not one person that I ever did that for out of pity or out of emotion or out of whatever has ever launched a successful membership. And it got to the point where we just stopped doing it altogether. Now I've paused people's membership when they have a hardship, then they come back and pay again. Yeah. That's a different situation.
Right.
But at the end of the day, people need to feel the investment that they're making if they're going to go out and look for a return. And these people need support and help, and you're going to offer tons of free stuff to help them. That's fine, right? What they're paying for is the community. Like all your content could be out there free, and that'll help them if they want to look at it. Right. But what you're giving them is hours of life and hours of your time and a community of people that can go through this together. They may not be able to find, and you have expenses and you have things, but most importantly, you are giving them a chance to invest in themselves. Like it's almost like, if I find a solution to a problem on YouTube, I may watch it and it may sound like, yeah, that would work, like losing weight or something.
Yeah.
But until I actually put skin in the game and I've invested in it, I'm not going to do anything. So it's almost like a disservice if you just haphazardly let them in for free. You're already seeing nobody's doing anything with what you're offering. And then if you just kind of go cheap, $5-10, like, does $5-10 hurt as bad as the actual grief they're going through? No. So you have to give them an equivalent way to invest in themselves. Like it's almost like that check is a decision.
Yeah.
And you're allowing them to underline it and bold it. Like it's not just I'm deciding to get over grief. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And I'm paying someone to help me do this, so I'll use it just like a personal trainer or anything else. And human nature works this way.
Okay.
It's just the way we all are. So I would say if you go the cheap route here, you'll feel good about it, but it'll be totally misplaced and people will not use your solution to actually get over their grief.
Well, and a big part of it is when Aura got her certificate for grief coach, which was only in the last year, she said, and it's going to be free. So I told her when she joined my group, I said, it's still going to be free because it's going to be that's one of the services within the membership. But that would validate the $49 or $50 a month.
She wants to give her counseling hours away.
Yeah. Before she joined me, she was like, no, it's free. That's just who Aura is. I'm like, well, we can't do that. We have to cover our expenses, but it will look free because it's in the membership.
Well, you can offer that as a perk if she wants to have office hours and go through it. But I wish Ori was here. I'd love to talk to her. Because I would tell her, like, that's not helping her or you. What does she do for a full-time job?
She doesn't. She is a complete servant of the Lord. She volunteers every day. She goes to senior citizens. She's lost more people in her own family in this last 6 months through COVID or whatnot. She constantly is talking to people. What did she say the other day? She's been so busy trying to keep people encouraged.
Yeah.
That she never even sees her own grief, I'm sure.
I would challenge her that she will do more good by letting people pay for the solution than she will just giving it away for free for everybody. And I think that is she your business partner or is she just volunteering?
She is volunteering like she does everything else, but I want her to help. She's definitely helping me grow it because I want her to be able to get benefits from it and I pay her down the road.
100%. She needs to be paid for that.
And then once she sees that, she'd be like,
so what I would say, here's how I would word this with her, and you can play this back to her, and she can reach out to me in the forums if she wants to jump in and talk about it. Like I would tell her, like, look, what if we did this? What if we included counseling, okay, with the membership fee, because of these reasons? Like we want people, it's like a church. Like if people volunteer and people tithe, they're more involved and they're more into church and they're living a better life because of it. People who are barely invested, throw a 10 in the plate and don't ever come to anything except for Sunday morning. They're not invested. They're not going to use the powerful tools that God's given us. So it's the same thing with this membership. People need to invest. They need to pay attention. Include counseling. That's fine. But just say like, look, we're going to include this and you're going to get paid for it because it's going to motivate you more. And here's the deal. If we can remove your needs and we can make you have income and this now becomes your life, that's going to free your mental state to be able to help these other people, just like, you've been called to do. Right. So, I think that everyone will be more motivated and more involved. I mean, you've already got people paying attention. I mean, I think this is going to blow up. Like, you could get 100, you could have 100 people within 6 months based on what numbers you've already got. Right. You got 900 people paying attention on that Facebook page.
Right. I know. I'm so excited about that.
I know, right? So like you're going to be able to start turning this into members, and I'd love for her. She needs to be all on board, and sharing in that for sure.
I think she's just not in her. I think a lot of it is that
it's the topic. It's the topic.
Permission to charge, but she's not thinking like.
Hey, listen, we pass the plate every Christmas for Lottie Moon, and money makes the mission possible because you can't send out a missionary without the money. That's true. It's okay to support it like a ministry. Make this a .org and go and file it for a charity and pay yourself salaries to run the charity if you want it to be a charity. But like it's okay. It's okay to make money if you can help people. Like we have people in the community. Like we have an amazing woman named Rebecca Decker in the community. And I brag about her all the time, and I'm not going to get into numbers. But she helps people's babies be born healthier.
Oh, well, yeah, I remember this.
Yes. And like she has an amazing mission and a heart for this. She also runs an amazing multiple 6-figure business because it's okay to make money to help people.
Our heart is in it too.
Yes. And like, our heart is, we sold our business so that we could go all in to help people like you start businesses. I'm still going to charge for it because I got to pay my bills too. And it's okay. like to do that. So
and I told her that, and she was fine with that. I'm like, well, we got to cover the expenses. But so my question on that was, because she's not paying any expenses right now. It's just me. She's
Sure.
volunteering, and I love her for doing that. But I want her also to reap the benefits, like what we just talked about.
Well, if you get 100 people and you offer counseling appointments, that's going to take a lot of time. And
she's going to see.
She's not going to be able to volunteer it enough if it gets big enough.
So that is my next question. We could start with that, and if it gets too big, then should we have a one-off? I mean, like charge that extra for counseling? This is service if you want to pay so and so per hour.
I would never do any. If I could take my son to a counselor for things that have happened, like to him, and I pay $175 every time we go, and it's worth every penny.
Right.
Like I would never do counseling outside of one-on-one. I would only do group calls at the beginning. Okay. If she wants to offer that, that's fine, but you're going to have to eventually charge a higher price because you're going to run out of time slots.
Right.
So yes, I would, the general success leaves clues. And in any industry, here's how it works. Content is cheaper than group calls is cheaper than one-on-one. And you don't give away one-on-one unless you have a higher ticket price. You just can't do it.
Charge group calls, or that's part of the membership?
That's part of the membership. Like I would, $49 a month covers, like she could come. Here's how I would build it if I was doing this. Like I would have group calls where everybody can come. You can answer so many questions. It's 1 hour and it's over. You're not going to be able to get to everybody's questions, but that's okay because everyone's going to be able to listen to other people's questions. And then I would have and the second level would be you can buy access. So you can, if you had counseling calls, I'd be like members get charged, $25 an hour, and non-members get charged $100. So there's a definitive benefit for being in the membership, right?
Okay, yeah.
But there's still because I'm telling you, if you don't charge people to show up for those appointments, half of them will not show.
Okay, so that was a buzzkill here recently. A month ago, we had our first Zoom call. Once we started getting traction on the Facebook page, we said, let's just have a group meeting, Q&A, meet and greet.
Nobody showed.
Me and Aura. So we just did it like a work session.
It's because it's free, and it's because they're not invested and they don't care. They have no reason to show up.
Last week, same thing. We now had 24 people on my, that had joined the free community. Plus, I had all these likes, so we put it out there. Free.
Okay. If you had sold those tickets for $20 a pop, they would all showed up. And this is another thing I just want to touch back on this on the mission thing again, and why it's such a disservice not to charge people and be such a charity-driven mindset. Is because if you had charged those 24 people, half of them would have showed and got help with their grief. And you guys, because you were so free, robbed them of the opportunity to get better. And I say that with respect and in all seriousness, and I love you so much, and I love everybody, but I'm telling you right now, if you don't charge people, you are hurting them. You're not helping them. It's like the cousin that always runs around begging everybody and won't go get a job and won't do anything. And everybody and the mom and dad just keep giving them money and they keep paying their rent and they keep paying their bills. You're not helping that person.
Right.
You're not.
Well, I needed to hear you say that. And Aura's going to need to hear this.
Aura can play back the recording.
So we're like, well, I guess we'll work on our next plan.
All right. So here's what I'm going to, we can talk to Aura in the community forums. You play this back for her. And I think that what I would like for you to do now is you have those conversations is you need to focus on the product. You need to get the path, right? Like you could call it, I tell you what would be an interesting play on words is my grief relief. You could call it the Your Grief Relief Plan or something, blueprint. And and that way it's about them when they get inside the community, right?
Yeah. Or I use the term grief journey throughout
your grief. Yeah.
I love the way you use the blueprint, like a roadmap. So
roadmap, your grief roadmap, like create that. I want you all to get these filmed, get them in there. You can replace them later and make them better as you grow. That's fine. But you need numbness, sadness, anger, pain, loneliness, acceptance, and relapse. We're going to get you a recording of this, so you're going to be able to go back and listen. Okay. But the next couple of weeks is all about fleshing out the product area. And then you're going to put a price tag on something with a sales page and we're going to start offering this for money.
Okay.
You can offer grief grief counseling is included, 1 call a month until you get to 50 members. Then we'll do something different.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen, Patty, thank you so much. I know that no matter how far you get through grief, to even talk about something like that is just an amazing thing. And I just appreciate, I love our community because people are transparent. We talk about real life, and then we turn our real life situation into powerful tools that we can go out and help other people with our wisdom and experience. That's why we always say everyone has God-given talents and experiences that they can use to help other people. And you're really doing that. And I love your mission. I love where this is going, and I can't wait to see what you guys build with it. So thanks for sharing with the community today.
And thank you for having me on. It was great.
All right, y'all. That wraps up today's podcast with Flipped Lifestyle community member Patty Jackson. Man, what a great story. What a powerful lady. I don't even want to imagine what it would be like to lose Jocelyn or the kids or anybody in my life. And to hear her strength and to hear her message of hope and to hear how she's gotten to where she is today, that really excites me because I know she's going to take that message out there of hope and inspiration to a lot of people who need her, who are suffering through grief. I want to encourage you to check out her website if you're suffering through anything like that over at mygriefrelief.com. She's got a lot of cool stuff going on. It's really going to be an awesome place, I think, for people who are going through those situations. And if we can help you in any way, like we helped Patty today, to start, build, and grow an online business, to create a mission-based brand that's out there to have a huge impact in the world and to help other people, we would love to do that inside the Flipped Lifestyle community. Head over to flippedlifestyle.com/free. That's FLIPPED lifestyle.com/free. We would love for you to join the community. We're going to give you 30 days inside. Your first 30 days are absolutely free inside the community. We have tons of resources available to help you start, build, and grow an online business of your own. All right, guys, got a couple more things to do here before we go. First one is our Can't Miss Moments section. This is where I talk about things in my life and Jocelyn's life that we get to experience that are only possible because we became and stayed self-employed, location-independent online entrepreneurs. This is the stuff that we may have missed if we were still grinding on that 9-to-5, if we didn't have any control over our schedule, over our life. And, after listening to Patty, I'm just going to say, man, my can't miss moment is just all this extra time over the last 7 or 8 years that I've been able to spend with my children, with my parents, with my family, with Jocelyn, heck, even with our dogs, just all the time that we have available that we get to be together. Life is really, really short. Patty's story confirms that to us. And I know there is going to be a day where we are going to experience loss or we're not going to be able to be together. And I'm just thankful, even over the past year, the pandemic that forced us all inside, forced us to spend more time with the people closest to us. I just feel really blessed that I get to wake up every single day and take my kids to school. They're going to remember that when I'm gone someday. And I'm really blessed that I have time in the afternoons to go around and visit people in my family, see my mom and dad. There's going to be a time they're not going to be here. And also just building this business with Jocelyn has been an absolute pleasure. It's been ups and downs and topsy-turvy. And Jocelyn always says most of the time we bring out the best in each other, but sometimes the worst. But I'm just really thankful that I get to wake up every day and work with my wife. And I can just count all those minutes and hours and months that we've been able to spend together over the past few years that we would not have had in each other's presence. We've gotten to experience not only quality time, but quantity time as well. And that's what I want for you and for your family as you go on your online business journey too. All right, guys, we are about out of time for this week's Flipped Lifestyle podcast. But before we go, we love to share a Bible verse on every episode of the podcast. Jocelyn and I get a lot of our inspiration and motivation from the Bible, and we always want to share that wisdom with you guys today. And I'm excited because Patty has a Bible verse that is important to her, and she is going to share that with you guys today. So Patty, take it away.
All right. My Bible verse is Philippians 4:6-7. It is, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This helped me because one emotion throughout the grief journey is anxiety. And I wake up in the mornings, if I'm anxious, sometimes I'm not, say it anyway, but most mornings I feel anxious as soon as I wake up. I say this prayer and I finally memorized it. I hope everybody else gets something from it like I do.
All right, guys, that's all we've got for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you love the Flipped Lifestyle podcast and you've been listening to it for a long time, help us spread the word so other people out there can discover our message of hope and inspiration and entrepreneurship. Go leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts if you've not done so yet. Make sure you subscribe to the show and download a few episodes. That's going to trigger that algorithm so Apple will show us to more people. Like or subscribe on whatever podcast player you use. And if you know somebody in your life that you think would benefit from listening to the Flipped Lifestyle podcast, make sure you tell them about the show. There's no better way to spread the message than word of mouth. That's all we've got for this week. Until next time, get out there, take action, and do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
I'm pumped up. I've been talking to Flipped Lifestyle community members all day long, and I keep getting more excited.
Okay, well, I hope I don't disappoint.
You will not disappoint. One more thing before we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Flipped Lifestyle podcast. If you love the Flipped Lifestyle podcast, if we bring a little joy and a little happiness and we bring some knowledge into your life every single week, could you do us a favor? Go to Apple Podcast and hit subscribe. Download a few of the podcast episodes onto your phone. Apple's algorithm loves seeing downloads and it loves seeing those subscribes. And please leave us an honest review over on Apple Podcast. That'll help us grow the show, expand the mission, and reach more people so that we can help them change their family's future as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.